listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was... Look again.
Why would we believe Earth's flat, rather than the globe they tell us? Well, because it's measured flat. Curvature of Earth, something that also requires as a description Earth be flat to describe it. So curvature, if there was some, would be a deviation from the horizontal plane of reference. But just the very description of curvature in Earth curve maths necessitates Earth have a horizontal plane of reference to describe Earth curvature. Earth must be measured as a flat plane to get the heights of mountains for Al-Biruni's radial derivation, and it's a derivation from surface level when you go up the mountain and ascertain eye level. The difference between the two is an inference of Earth curve sphericity below surface level that is flat. If you're building things like bridges and describing elevations in the vicinity, all of those elevations will be described from sea level. That's a horizontal plane, flat Earth. So you need a flat Earth to describe deviation from the flat plane, deviation from level, that's curvature. So first you've got a flat Earth, then you've got a description of curvature that comes afterwards. Two examples, Biruni and surface level in Earth curve maths. Both level, both flat, both the surface of Earth. Flat. The surface of Earth. Flat. We measure Earth. Flat.
Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was... Look again.
Interesting guy, and I am very bloody stoked that we have a full house here, which means there are a lot of people who are willing to hear his information. I am very excited about this. I have copped a fair amount of shit from some people in our team about bringing flat Earth to the menu. You know what? This shows me that there are people interested in this subject, that they are deeply interested in this subject. And you know what? David Weiss has earned his spot on this stage. I have watched him be trolled on the internet and just hold it with grace and comebacks and all these amazing facts and figures and images. And this is one he did. He did this one last night when, this morning, sorry, 6 a.m. when there was a earthquake. His mirror fell down and he put this one up within minutes. And this was his way of showing, and here we go. So I would really like to bring to the stage for what I think will be an absolute ripper, David Weiss. Flat Earth Dave, here he comes. Woohoo!
All right. Woo! Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to ask one question. I'm going to go very fast today because I found out I could lay out 50 flat Earth proofs, and if I don't cover the one thing that you were thinking, then the Earth is a globe. So my question is, and I thought about this, how many of you here, raise your hands, wait, are 100% sure the Earth is a globe? We got a couple. Very good. Get out of here, Alec. All right, and I'm not categorizing you all as flat earthers. You're open to suggestions because we're going to see what goes on here. So let's see if I can do this. All right, so there we go. All right, so the Flat Earth Awakening. Here we go. So Flat Earth is, as the CIA developed PSYOP, created to discredit all truthers. We all thought that. I thought that. I came up with the term ban for life based on anyone suggesting I even watch a Flat Earth video. And I wouldn't do it. And then I finally decided to do it. No, there we go. So if I don't answer all your questions, that doesn't mean the Earth is a globe. So come find me afterwards. Come to on Thursday, I have a workshop, and let's dive deeper into these things. Everything I show you today, I could do 45 minutes on each slide. So we're just going to plant a bunch of seeds today, and it's up to you whether you want to water them. So I can go on YouTube, you can go on YouTube, and you could look up UFOs, you can look up fairies, you can look up the Loch Ness Monster, and it's just a regular, dragons. They'll just show you something. But if you look up flat Earth, you get there's a alien, a hollow Earth. But if you look up flat earth, you get a Wikipedia warning saying, don't look here. It's been disproven. It's ridiculous. And don't look there. So you all know if they say don't look here, where are you looking? You got to look there. All right? So people are emotionally attached to their ball, right? You were trained as a child. That's one of the first things you learn in school is the orbits of the sun and the moon and everything. So, it's emotional when you have your ball taken away. I'm taking your ball away, so deal with it. You're all grown-ups, right? The shape of the earth does not matter. It's your position in it and your ability to reach your maximum potential. So what do these three things have in common? Okay? All of them are horseshit. Okay? All of them, including that one right there. That's what you Google flat earth, that's what comes up. That's a flat earth and a heliocentric model. It's two fake models in one. That's the fakest of them all. This is more real than that. Okay? So what is flat earth, right? We're going to get into that, right? As I showed you, this is not flat earth. This is flat earth, 127,000 feet, about 20 miles up, right? You look down, look at the sun right here. There's a hot spot right here. 93 million miles away or right there where you see it, right? No curvature. The earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour below this balloon. 1,000 miles an hour. This balloon was up there for 3 hours. It should have landed 3,000 miles out in the ocean, but it landed east of where it took off. The earth is spinning and it outran the earth and landed down. If you can't understand that, I can't help you. Right? So this is what they teach us. The sun is at the center and we're orbiting around the sun, but they never want us to look at the side view. Right? This is what heliocentrism teaches us. We're orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour. Funny number. We're chasing at about the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. Right? These speeds are incomprehensible. Is there sound on this? There's no sound? Can I get sound? Or if not, it's no big deal. Yeah. So this is, we'll do it without sound if they can't get it. It's all right. This is the hypersonic sled track. You can look it up on YouTube. The sound of it going by it rips your soul apart. It's going by at Mach 8.6 times the speed of sound, right? You have to believe that the Earth is going in a circular elliptical orbit around the sun 10 times faster than that, which you can't even conceive. And it's chasing the sun 100 times faster than that. But when we go out in nature, we see things like this. So we look out in nature, what do you see here? You see a still lake. Right? Water, large bodies of water at rest lie flat, and they need to be contained. If you don't have the side of a lake, the water will run away. Well, what is the side of our lake? The side of our lake is Antarctica. It's the shoreline that surrounds our world. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth.
Critically think. Water needs a container, okay? So if we're on a globe, how would there be a container on a sphere? If you think about a pool, picture a pool without the container. How is the water being held in without some kind of container? That's exactly what the globe is. You can't have a container on a sphere, guys. This is the biggest, most obvious thing about how we're not on a spinning globe, is that there's no container on a globe. There is a flat earth, a flat surface, and a container holding the water in. There's no way around needing a container to hold the water in. We have a container holding the water in. There has to be. You cannot deny that water needs a container and that water always finds its level and that it has to have something to hold it in. Water does not curve. If you have a ball or a circle or a sphere, however you want to say it, water would separate if it was on a ball.
Balloons going up, look at it is the Earth spinning 1,000 miles an hour, or is that just going up and floating over a flat stationary Earth? People say, we've known the Earth is flat for 2,000 years. Eratosthenes figured it out with his sticks and shadows, right? The story is he noticed that he could see the bottom of a well, the sun reflecting, so the sun's over him. Good observation. So he sends his buddy 5,000 miles away, who counted his steps, figured out how far he was, somehow was able to communicate with him, and he put a stick in the air and measured the shadow, and Eratosthenes put a stick in the air and had no shadow, and they figured out the circumference of the Earth. Awesome math. It works great. The problem is it works great on a flat Earth also with a small local sun. Here's Eratosthenes, no shadow. Here's his buddy, shadow, just like over here, no shadow. Shadow, do the same math, and they both have the same sphericity, right? So the experiment proves nothing. It doesn't prove either, but they teach it to us as it proves everything. Eratosthenes said the sun is far away, Therefore, the rays are coming in straight. No one's ever seen straight rays. We always see crepuscular rays like this, like the sun is right there above the clouds. If Eratosthenes was right, we'd all see this. No one's ever seen this, right? That's the only way his experiment would work, is if it's like that, right? Here's some beer cans on a table. This table's spherical according to Eratosthenes, right? We got the light is above this one, and there's a shadow. You could do some really good math. The math is absolutely correct, but you know, Eratosthenes was wrong.
Turns out with just 2 wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had 2 wells.
What the fuck did I just hear?
Turns out with just 2 wells, there's enough wiggle room for both explanations to fit our observations. Eratosthenes only had 2 wells.
So sunsets, that was the big one for me. The sun goes below the curve. That there's no other way to explain it. This sun right here is going beyond. Remember that, beyond the horizon. Just like this sun is here, as things go away, they get lower in the sky, and it's going to go beyond that cloud. But that cloud's up in the sky, and you can understand that. But if that cloud was 30 miles away, it would look like the horizon, right? It would look like the horizon. There's that one, it's going beyond it. So here's a sun that looks like it's setting, but if we zoom in, this is a super clear day, we can see it's not setting. It's way up in the sky. So the optics of the atmosphere, especially when you're looking across the atmosphere, are very, very confusing until you really understand what you're seeing. So here is a sun. We're looking up at a building. We're in a street in New York City. We're looking up and the sun's going away. So it went from like 12 o'clock to, let's say, 1 o'clock. So now the sun is, where is the sun? Is it below the horizon or is it beyond the building? It's beyond the building. Now how could we see it again? We could float up in the air and look over the building, or we could go backwards a couple miles and the building would look much lower and you'd be able to see the sun. So let's look at perspective. This is a perspective grid, and here's this guy. Here's his eye line right here, and I'll put him out in there. What can we say about the top of this mountain? The top of this mountain is thousands of feet above his head. So the top of the mountain is thousands of feet above his head. Same thing. He can go up or backwards. So let's move him. Oh, we got the sun up here, and the sun moves away. It moves beyond the mountain. It's not below. It's just beyond. So if we move him backwards, so we'll move the sun, we'll move the mountain out. Here we go. Almost there. Fill that in. All right. So what can we say about this line here? That line is thousands of feet above his head, but it looks like it's at his eye line. It's thousands of feet above his head. So if the sun goes away, it goes beyond, not below, just beyond that horizontal eye zone. So now if we add the clouds, the sun is above the clouds. Now remember that the sun is above the clouds. The sun goes away, and it goes beyond. Where am I? Okay. It's still there. It's just a little delayed. And the sun goes beyond that line here. So now what can we say about this line? That line is 2 things. It is the top of the mountains. It's also the clouds are merging into that line. So the mountain is thousands of feet above his eye line, and the clouds are thousands of feet above the mountain. The horizon always appears to rise to eye level, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of feet above your head. And when things that are above it, celestial objects, not boats or buildings, they go beyond it. Okay. So here's just a little time lapse of the moon going away, and it's going down, right? So terrestrial perspective versus celestial perspective. So right here, this line here, might be a little hard to see with the sun, is a level line. It's the same line right here. It's the same thing. This is filmed from a celestial point of view, and this is filmed from a terrestrial point of view. It's the same line at the same time. This is a level line, but this is how we see from our terrestrial point of view at celestial things. So this is a real sunset up here. For lack of time, I just got to keep moving. So here's our atmosphere, right? I'm standing on the Earth. The atmosphere, when I look up, I'm looking through that much atmosphere. So when I'm looking at a celestial object, I'm looking through the least amount of atmosphere. But when I look across at something closer to the horizon, I'm looking through all atmosphere. I'm looking through an infinitesimal amount of more atmosphere. When you're looking through the atmosphere, lots of things happen. But we don't see like this. This is an orthographic point of view. Nobody sees things from the side. We all see things forward, right? This is what it really looks like. The sky ramps down, the land ramps up, and that's how we experience the world. So a lot of people like to say, flat earthers in this thing, they said, well, the sun's 3,000 miles up, it would be 30 miles wide and whatever. That works, but it could be 1,500 miles up and half the size, or a tenth of the size and a tenth of the distance. Sizing and variance, you can make up 100 things. But a lot of anti-flat earthers, like going after flat earthers, saying, oh, it's 3,000 miles up, so we could do some math. We could say, all right, we got 3,000 miles up, and we measure 3,000 miles away, and we could do some math and figure out where the sun is. Then we put the sun above this guy, and we put another sun 3,000 miles over there, and we can say this is a 45-degree angle, and this is a 22.5-degree angle, and the sun would never set. The sun would never set. This is an orthographic view. We never see in an orthographic view. We see in a perspective view. And the sun just goes beyond the atmospheric deck of opacity, which I'll show you more about, I think, in a little bit. This is a shot. I had a drone up in the air, super clear, super dry. The sun went down, 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 and it stopped. And it stayed there for 10 minutes. It's a super sped up. My friends are at the beach over here, and they saw the sun set from the bottom up 10 minutes ago. I'm still watching the sun. What did it do? It just faded out. It went so far away that it could not push its light through all of that atmosphere, and it just faded out. We call it the sun fade out. I have an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's on flatearthdave.com. And right here is a whole series on sun fade outs. If you want to learn more, you could spend a couple hours there. So what is going on here? Are you falling forward and backwards, or is the sun coming forward? I'm just reversing this back and forth. Is that cameraman falling forward at 1,000 miles an hour, or is that light in the sky approaching you and rising due to perspective? Are you moving, or is that moving? What is the sun? Great question. That's a longer thing. Here's one. So people say the sun, if the earth is flat, the sun would get smaller and smaller. Lots of times it does. But this is terrestrial perspective. This train is a terrestrial object from a terrestrial viewer, and it's getting smaller as it goes away. And we all know that. We've all experienced that. So here is an orthographic view of what this guy is seeing right here. It might be in the way for some of you. So this is the sun just going away, and it looks like it's going down. It goes into the horizon, right? So if we take those trains and we move it up, the one at the top is already smaller because it's farther away. And when it goes down, and when it goes away, you don't see it getting much smaller, but it does get a little smaller. But as it's going lower, you're looking through more and more and more atmosphere, and that atmosphere is magnifying it while it's getting smaller. Doesn't always work perfectly, because sometimes the sun gets bigger, sometimes it gets smaller, all depending on the atmospheric conditions. Now here we go. I got this ball, and I got another one identical size just over here. And now I'm raising the camera up, and I'm not getting any closer to that ball. And what's happening? This is like, because it's already away, the balls are almost the same size. Right here. Okay? So if I rolled that ball down the track, it wouldn't change size. So that's why we see the sun remaining mostly the same size. It's a simple, it's not a trick, it's just the way perspective works. And if I had sound, with Paul singing, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round.
Do we take Genesis 1 literally or not? This is the ridiculous level we have come to. And you think about it. If NASA and the space agencies, if they didn't exist, if there were no alleged moon landings or Mars rover or alleged pictures from space, would we believe that we live on a spinning, flying ball? Is that what we see? Is that what we experience? Is that what we look at? No. Men would come, Paul said, and change the truth of God into a lie. They changed it into.
God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night.
Check this out. All right, here's the first test of a sun moving over a flat surface, and with no atmospheric magnification, it does what we might expect it would. It gets smaller as it goes away from us. All right, now let's see what happens when we add in our atmospheric magnification. Again, water and refraction. Water causes magnification and refraction, right? So let's bring the sun back. Oh, check this out. Refraction bends the light downward. It made the sun set on a parallel surface. As it was moving parallel, the same height, the whole way over a flat surface, the refraction caused the sun to set. Not only that, well, let's bring in the beginning of that little test, and we see that it maintained pretty much the same size too. Pretty close. And of course that's because as it's moving away, the magnification is still taking place, and so even though the sun's further away than it was in the beginning of the test, the magnification basically preserved the same size, and the refraction made it set. Now, I'm just going to put forward a crazy idea for you to think about, and that is, if Rob Skiba could figure this out, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I think it's quite possible that the creator of the cosmos could have figured out the same thing and engineered our beautiful sunsets, thanks to all that water he placed in our atmosphere. Just something to think about.
God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. And it was so.
Curvature, boats over the horizon. That's a big one. Everyone's like, boats go over the horizon. Different disappears from the bottom up. We were all shown that three-masted ship in grade school. But if you watch that video again, that exact video, edit, and every time the ship went down, they lowered the camera. I could see your heads back there, but now I can't. You're below the horizon of these heads over here. That's all they did. It's just a trick. Why do they have to lie if the Earth is a globe? What? I'm stuck? I'm good. I didn't change it yet. So here is a time lapse of a bay, non-tidal bay, and watch the buildings. The buildings disappear. It's a little hard to see, but the beach is disappearing, the buildings disappear, the mountains. This is just atmosphere. Nothing's changing here. This is a static camera. Look at those buildings. And then they're gone. And if you're watching this, normally, we don't normally stand there in time lapse and watch things for hours and hours. The glober will go, look, the building's gone. You can't see it. The Earth is a globe, right? That's just because it's just atmospheric conditions. Here we got a horizon here, super clear day. We take a drone, we raise it up. Now, if we're on a ball, the higher up you are, the farther you can see, the lower the Earth would be. You're always at the top. The Earth farther away, it goes lower and lower. But when we raise it up, we can see the horizon farther. That can only happen on a flat Earth. Only happen on a flat Earth, right? And talk about atmospheric refraction. I got a lens here, and I have this boat on a flat table, and we're just dragging it away. There's the sun. It's disappearing on a flat table. No atmosphere, no waves, no other. There's a lot of things that make things disappear from the bottom up. But this is just being pulled across with some atmospheric magnification. It's a simple test. You can do it yourself. The atmosphere does magnify things, and things things disappear from the bottom. Oh, the bottoms of the buildings are missing on a flat table. That means that table's spherical. Okay? So here's the Red Bull jump. Everyone's like, oh, the Red Bull jump. He saw the horizon. You know, he saw the curvature, but they had fisheye lenses for everything, except the camera in the capsule behind him. And 10 feet off the ground and 127,000 feet is it? The horizon is the same. At 127,000 feet, if you do the math, there would be 381,000 feet drop to that horizon. But it's still at the exact same level as from the ground. Okay? If you can't wrap your mind around that, you're unwilling to change your paradigm based on factual information. Coincidence? Coincidence. Thank you.
That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. Felix Baumgartner, he would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's he wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
So you can't see the curve from 24 miles up, but, you know, rockets follow the curve of the Earth, right? But chemtrails don't. Chemtrails go straight. All right. So this is the Red Bull rocket launch. Is it Red Bull? Whatever it's called. It's sponsored by Red Bull. Unedited. NASA and SpaceX edit before it clears the friggin' tower. You see like 7 edits, right? This thing went up. I wish we had sound, but don't screw with it. And it all of a sudden it goes kerplunk. It went into some other medium. It stopped spinning. And that was interesting. We see this flat horizon, but this is the moon. That's interesting. This took off in Arizona, right? Arizona is right here. So it's noon here. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. It's about 11 a.m. in Arizona, and the moon was over here. So if the Earth was a basketball, that rocket is a millimeter, a fraction of a millimeter above the basketball, and the moon is on the floor. How did it see the moon? Okay? Refraction, gravity, anybody? Okay? If the Earth is a globe, there is a required distance to a physical horizon, but there is no physical horizon. The horizon is optical. These mountains here, all 8 of these, are over 700 miles away. There should be over 40 miles of curvature, physical curvature. So the mainstream, the only answer they could have is refraction. These are refracting up and stopping at eye level, right? You know what the mainstream media says about this, all scientists? Nothing. They don't even acknowledge its existence. They cannot acknowledge the existence of photos like this, and there's many, right? So here we did a test on a frozen lake at night. We have a camera at just 6 inches off the ice. We put these lights out here, 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles. Just using the curvature calculator, it was bad enough. But I took off refraction, which I don't even believe it would affect it at all, and made it the best favor of the globe. 30 feet of curvature, 22, 15, and 9, but somehow they all showed up on the same level. Somehow. They all refracted up just the right amount at those distances and formed a straight line. Again, this is rock-solid proof that we're not on a ball, the size that they tell us at least.
I'd like to make myself believe that planet Earth turns slowly. It's hard to say that I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep, 'cause everything is never as it seems. 'Cause I get 1,000 hugs from 10,000 lightning bugs as they tried to teach me how to dance. A foxtrot above my head. thread. I'd like to make myself believe that planet Earth turns slowly. It's hard to say that I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep, 'cause everything is never as it seems.
This is Mount Canigou. This is this is a shot from Aluja, France. We're looking out. Mount Canigou is over the ocean, 275 miles away. We can't see it because the top of the mountain is over a half a mile below the curvature. Or we can't see it because the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to push through the atmosphere and make it to our eyes. But twice a year when the sun lines up with the viewing spot of Mount Canigou, all of a sudden you can see Mount Canigou right here in its entirety. This is Mount Canigou. It's not a cloud. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. It's exactly it's on your horizon. Again, this is undeniable proof that we're not on a ball, but some people are just unwilling to look at it, right? 100,000 feet from NASA, 120,000 feet from an amateur. Somebody's lying, right? Circumnavigation. I can go around the world. And, Amelia Earhart went around the world. The north is at the center, south is on the outside, east and west are circles. That doesn't prove the earth is flat. That proves that they're both the same. It works the same on both flat earth and round earth. So here I have a compass, a boat, whatever you want to call it, an airplane, and I'm pushing it west. Look at the needle. The needle points towards the center. So east and west are circles around the center. That's all circumnavigation is. Now, if I try to dead reckoning west, watch, the needle turns, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. That is south. That is south. That is south. South is every direction. If you point north, just keep going until you pass north, and now you're going south. Amelia Earhart went around the world, east or west. Those are all the stops that she's made. That's all she did. She went around the world over the earth plane in her airplane. Right? And a lot of people say, flat earthers, this is their favorite meme, besides cats would have pushed everything off the earth by now. They say, how did Japan attack Hawaii? Right? This is how they did. Just like that. Right there. There's boom. I mean, they'd have a better job than California attacking Hawaii, I think. Pretty close. All right? So airplanes, that's another one. Are all pilots in on it? A lot of them no. None of them are in on it, but they don't want to lose their jobs. I have tons of pilots, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Qantas Airlines, that call me all the time and tell me stuff. One of them said, there's nothing in our manuals anymore, and we aren't required to know how anything works in flight school. If we ask a question how something works, they say, we don't need to know that. You don't need to know that. They said years ago they had to know how to rebuild the plane or they weren't allowed to fly it. They also have to figure out their angle of descent. They're 100 miles out. They say, oh, we have to drop this much per mile to get to the runway. And they do not calculate in Earth curvature. 100 miles away, if they use the math that they use, when they get to the runway, it's going to be over a mile below them. But for some reason, it's there. Can anyone figure out why? If the Earth is spinning, this is what we're doing. Okay? Right here, the Earth is moving 1,000 miles an hour. Here, it's moving 500 miles an hour, and here, it's just pirouetting like this, right? So, how's that airplane speeding up? 1,000 miles an hour, 500 miles an hour, 0 miles an hour. 500 miles, 1,000 miles. How is it doing that? Unless it's not doing that, right? So here is a simulation of if you're flying around the world, this is what you would experience on a ball. The stars in the distance would be rising because you're diving over the ball, right? But this is what happens in reality. This is a shot from Germany to Brazil, going all the way over the ball, and the stars aren't rising. They're not rising at all in either direction, right? They're not rising at all. This is what Google Earth says should happen, just what I showed you. And that makes sense if we live on a ball. But reality versus Google Earth, which added curvature, I think, in 2001 to Google Earth. Reality versus lies from Google. I don't know what to say.
Ask any airline pilot what the shape of the Earth is. When they're done laughing at you, they'll tell you it's a sphere.
As I was reading some stuff on the flat Earth, it made a lot of sense. Have you looked into it?
Which one? Sorry?
I was reading a lot of stuff on the flat Earth.
Okay, yeah. True.
It's true?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, cool.
All
hey,
right.
God bless, brother.
All right.
Have a good one. You too.
G'day guys.
How you going?
Just a fellow PPL.
Oh yes.
You know,
yeah,
but yeah. Casey, how are you, mate?
Nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've been flying, and I've come to the conclusion there is no curvature. I never allow for curvature. There's no way there's curvature. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Definitely.
We are, aren't we?
Flat as a
Thank
pancake,
you,
mate.
sir.
Flat as a pancake.
We're so, and the outer ring is south.
Yeah.
And so north must be in the middle, correct?
Possibly.
That would be the only way that a magnetic compass would works on a flat plane.
You might be onto something there.
Yeah, but you're not having me on. We're round and flat, aren't we?
Flat as a pancake, mate. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you, man.
No worries.
You made my day.
Only the people at Jigsaw know that.
But, yeah, well,
There
you know,
go.
I tell a few people, especially some close mates, even though I'm a pilot, they laugh their heads off at me. They think I'm an absolute nut job.
Nah.
Hey, thanks, guys.
No worries, mate.
Cheers.
Ask any airline pilot what the shape of the Earth is. When they're done laughing at you, they'll tell you it's a sphere.
Thank you,
pancake.
I'll never forget the day that I realized my plane wasn't falling around a globe, that I could look out the cockpit window, 185 degrees plus field of vision at 40,000 feet, and not see one iota of drop, but nothing but a flat, beautiful, motionless plane. The assumed calculations that we made that were compensating for Earth rotation were just a part of a calculation based upon wind speed and the angle we had to hold in order to fly against that wind and go in a straight line to our destination. It's one of the most freeing truths I've ever experienced, because in some small way, the idea that these other conspiracy theories and things we've been lied to about are true.
Satellites, that's a big one. How do satellites work? Well, NASA's the largest consumer of helium. They own all the helium in the world, pretty much. And they leave just enough for party balloons and maybe an occasional Goodyear blimp. But they put up thousands and thousands of these satelloons. One of my American Airlines pilots called me and said, we received a message that 2 NASA balloons are descending from 55,000 feet in our airspace and they have no transponder. He freaked out, because he knows there's like 8,000-pound satellites on this thing, and the other co-pilot's like, oh, balloon, that's cool. And so there, nothing happened. He didn't see it, but interesting that a balloon is traveling. So people's like, what about satellite phones, right? I have a whole presentation on that. This is Starlink. I've seen it myself, right? Lots of you probably have. You look up, you see these lights going through the sky. What are they? How far away are they? They look really low. They look really low, and they are really low. Here's a 747. Here's a 747. Can you see the engines? Right? The engines are huge, and you can't see them at 7 miles high. 7 miles high. That's the engine. Okay? So, 7 miles high. Can't see it. Right? This is a Starlink satellite. It's about 3 times the size of that human, which you probably didn't even see. He's tiny. So, how many of those humans can you fit in here? Let's say you can fit 10, 15 of them in this giant engine. You can't see it at 7 miles high, right? You can't see it at 7 miles high, but those satellites are 340 miles up. Could you see a school desk 340 miles away? You couldn't see it 10 miles away. So we are seeing something, but it's not what they're telling us. It's a deception. All of the communications of the world, 99% of all of our communications, internet, phone, everything are done through undersea cables. And if you actually follow the cables, they actually prove the Earth is flat, because there's no cable from Santiago to Australia, which there should be. It goes all the way up to the north and then all the way back down. Cables actually prove the Earth is flat. You have to believe that NASA is tracking all of these satellites. Right? All of these satellites NASA's tracking while we're corkscrewing through space. Somehow these things are staying, while we're spinning, corkscrewing, and traveling 500,000 miles an hour, these things just stay right over Iowa or wherever they want them. Okay? Magically. These are all the garbage that they're also tracking, right? We can't keep track of 2 Malaysian flights, but they can keep track of all of this. All right? Right? And all of this is going on while this is going on. So one of these little dots here is us in a space vacuum, scientifically impossible space vacuum, and all these satellites are just mirroring, they're perfect. They kick them out of the door and like, okay, go do your thing, and never need service and need as much electricity as you want, and everything works, always. in the most hostile environment. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. This is real satellites, and this is a Globetardia satellite, right? They're all CGI. And again, on my app, you can find tons on satellites. I don't have time to show you here, but on the frequently asked question page, that's amazing. Gravity, that's a big one. That's a big G is what they need. Walter Lewin, MIT professor, says it's electric forces that hold our world together. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode. The land is the salt bridge, and the salt water carries the current. That's interesting. That makes a battery. You know, flat earthers are absolutely crazy because we think down is this way everywhere on Earth. Down is down for everybody, right? Globe earthers, down is antipodal to people on the other side on a spinning ball while you're corkscrewing through space. Down is amazing, right? Buoyancy and density, right? This blimp is lighter than the boat's lighter than the water, the submarine's heavier than the water. Buoyancy and density sort everything out. But what makes things go down? So here are some leftover party balloons, and we got it tied to this little button, and we have this wire, and we're adding a positive charge to it. The ground has a negative charge. So we make that more positive charge, it went down, and when we discharge it, it goes back up. Did we make it heavier, or did we change the electrostatic potential of it? Right? This is, oops, I went back. That one was a triangle. We added a negative charge to it. It went up. This is, MIT made this. It's called the silent drone. They're just putting a negative charge into it, and it flies. Has no moving parts. It flies. Electrostatics. Right? Are we fighting gravity, or are we fighting something else? You want to learn more about gravity? Gravity section in the frequently asked question. The law of large numbers, and all of you that watch me, you probably all know this. The two people that raised their hand when I said, do you believe in a globe? How long is 1 trillion seconds? Glober? How long is 1 trillion seconds? If you guess it within... No, there's a flat earther over there. You've just identified yourself. So, 31,000 years is 1 trillion seconds. Just let that sink in, right? 31,000 years. So that's 12 zeros. So they tell us that the electrostatic force is 10 to the 36. It's actually 39, but I made a typo, but it doesn't matter because the number is so ridiculous. You can't even comprehend it. Times stronger than gravity. So that's what that number looks like. You can hide Bitcoin in that number, okay? Right? 1 trillion is right there. And then those next 3 zeros make it 1,000 times more than that, which is incomprehensible. And then 1,000 times more than that, we're not even there yet, right? So if the electrostatic force, which I just proved to you is a real thing, how can you say gravity is anything when it's that much stronger? They're telling us gravity is nothing by giving us this number. Tides, that's another big one. Well, the moon is pulling the water. The tides with the moon are the dumbest thing ever. Right? There's these tidal nodes, and these red and blues are high tides and low tides that circle these tidal nodes. They have no correlation to the moon. Nobody knows why that happens. I don't know why that happens, but I think it has to do with the electromagnetic fields of the Earth. So they tell us that high tides are, we got the moon over here, and it makes a high tide right here, and then there's a low tide here, and then there's another high tide here. Do you know what their official story is for that? The moon is pulling the water away from the water away from the Earth, creating a bulge. And then the moon is also pulling the Earth away from the water to make a bulge on the other side. That's the official story, right? People that are globe believers don't even know that, because if they knew that, they'd be like, maybe this flat Earth has something to it, right? Here's the other thing. When there's a full moon, we have bigger tides. Bigger tides when there's a full moon. That's a fact, right? But when there's a full moon, the sun is over here. The sun's holding onto the Earth and Pluto and everything in between, right? Don't you think there would be a bigger tide over here? And when there's a new moon, the moon's still there. Now we got the moon and the sun over here. There should be a gigantic tide here, but there's not. The moon is electric in nature. The sun and the moon are part of this battery system, and I think that the moon's electric charge does affect the salt water that carries the current. That's why there's no tides in freshwater lakes, right? You would weigh less on a full moon night. You know, everybody would weighing themselves on when the moon is full because, hey, I'm lighter. Okay? Planets. These are, the NASA shows us planets, right? Now, I'll be honest, these are not planets from NASA. These look better than NASA's planets, but these are all frying pans. Okay? These are all just burnt out frying pans. Right? Now, the stuff NASA shows us is absolutely ridiculous. So, is this the sun or the moon setting down this aisleway, right? Do we know what it is? It looks round. It looks kind of, you know, it could be the sun, it could be the moon, or it could be a train with no round lights on it. It's got rectangular lights, blue lights, orange lights, and it all goes together because that's how we see everything in the distance comes together. So when they say, I see a round light in the sky, I don't care if it is round or not. You don't know it's round, and if it is, so what? The lights in your ceiling do not dictate the shape of the floor. This is a Voyager or whatever fake spacecraft going towards Jupiter years ago. Look at this. The winds are going different ways. The giant storm is spinning. The clouds are changing. Amazing, right? That's over a period of hours or days or weeks. I forget what it was. Doesn't matter. This is the 2014 famous image that we all see. 2016, they said Jupiter has a magnetic core because we see the northern lights. Look at this. Did they even use Photoshop or did they use MS Paint? Okay. But look at the wind, everything is exactly the same. Every cloud is exactly the same. Are they lazy or are they just rubbing it in our eye going, hey, let's see how stupid these people are. Okay? This is what NASA and Disney show us, and this is what all powerful telescopes and zoom lenses show us. This is what we see. I think the moon is spherical. I can't prove it, but it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. Saturn, famous picture of Saturn. We took it off their website, put it in Photoshop, cranked up the levels, and it is just slapped together, crappy, you know, amateur cut and paste job. This is a picture of Mars from the rover. Mars, it's amazing. Look at it, right? Or did they just replace the sky and it's a desert somewhere? Or maybe it's the moon, right? Maybe it's the moon, okay? Or maybe it's a construction site in New Jersey looking over at the city, okay? I don't need Photoshop to do this. I did this with Canva. It took me 2 minutes. I had the free version, right? NASA gets $80 million a day. Okay? Here's Mars. Look at the shadow over here. Where's the shadow over here? That's weird, right? Here's the moon from NASA.gov. The sun's over here. Look at the shadows below these solar panels. How's that work? Right? Again, and then this one, if we look carefully, we were zooming in on a shot, we discovered life on Mars. Look. Right here, a fly. There's a fly. Life on Mars. We've proven it. Or life on Devon Island and wherever that is.
Close your eyes.
Space is fake. Can't have gas pressure without a container. If the sky was a vacuum, where the space agencies claim to be in space, then the gas we breathe would fill that space.
Only vacuum can even get remotely close to that on the Earth is like 10 to the -7, I think, and it takes like immensely thick concrete walls with rebar, and it still doesn't really work. It requires insane maintenance. But even in that situation, if you had a pressurized system, certainly like 14.7 psi at the surface, right, it's going to violently fill the available space because entropy always increases. So with all natural systems, entropy increases, therefore the amount of usable energy decreases. It's going to fill the available space, violently seeking equilibrium. And so if we actually had a pressurized system on the Earth and it was encompassed by this ever-expanding vacuum of space, the gas would violently fill the available space. It has infinite space to fill. So you, according to the second law of thermodynamics, you literally could not have this gas pressure system we have on the Earth that keeps us alive inside of a vacuum of 10 to the -17 torque. Could not be adjacent to that. It violates the second law of thermodynamics, which is the most indisputable and agreed upon natural law, which isn't a theory, it's just observation, it's a natural law. So it's a major globe problem.
So our little atmosphere here on Earth is like the thinness of a razor blade compared to 1,000,000 miles or more, billion miles. That's how vast this vacuum is. Now, they want us to believe that we could have atmospheric pressure, gas pressure, sitting here in amongst this vacuum. I mean, this is one of the simplest debunks. And it's really ridiculous that they, I mean, I guess people haven't challenged it. People have been busy living their lives and working. But it's being challenged now, and it's being obliterated, really, the spinning ball. And really, one of the easiest ones is this. As I look into the sky, there's no way that's a vacuum. How can you have a vacuum next to pressure? I mean, first of all, you could argue that you need a container, first of all, to have gas pressure. But they're saying there is no container. There's no barrier between us and the vacuum. Do you know how strong the vacuum of space would be? NASA has a vacuum chamber, and they say the walls are 6 to 8 feet thick. All right? If you don't have 6 to 8 feet thick walls, you may see this. Take these big tanker train cars. They suck the air out of this, and they implode because the air is trying to get to the vacuum. They're creating a vacuum inside, right? So you need to have those 6 to 8 foot thick walls that would separate us from the vacuum. But there is no such thing. They take rockets and they supposedly fly up into space. Actually, they're just, going out over the ocean and dunking the parts in the ocean, and the plane, whatever they're shooting up there goes nowhere. But they're telling us that's what's happening. But you'd have to have a barrier for us to keep our gas pressure, because look at how hard the pressure wants to go fill that empty space, right? So they do 6 to 8 foot thick walls to keep their little vacuum chamber from imploding. And these tank cars, you can see them implode. That's the power of the vacuum next to air pressure. And that's it. Clearly, NASA needs 6 to 8 foot thick walls to keep their little building there from imploding. You can see these tank cars implode. They don't have 6 to 8 foot thick walls. So this is what happens when you have a vacuum next to gas pressure or atmospheric pressure or air pressure like we have here on Earth. So right there, busted. It's not real. Simple debunk.
Close your eyes.
Star rotation, that's a big one. Everyone likes looking up at the lights in the sky going, well, the stars are go in the opposite direction. Ready? I'm making a clockwise circle. I'm in the north. You guys are in the south. You guys see a clockwise circle? Well, then the stage is a globe. Okay? You're upside down. You're upside down. And then when we think that the sky has a firmament and there's water, when we put water in front of, these rotating stars, they change directions. So the optics of what? Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. So this is, one of the big things. They say, well, from these 3 continents, you can see the Southern Cross at the same time. And that is only true for 20 minutes of one day from these extreme locations, of one day per year. But if you were seeing the Southern Cross from here and here, you're looking down underneath the globe. So one person would see it upside down compared to the other, but they don't. They all see it the same orientation. Again, that doesn't prove anything. This is what we see in the sky. The sky is moving. We're not moving. We're not moving except this morning we moved a little bit, and you notice that. But we're whirling and twirling and doing all sorts of other things, and we don't notice that. But they do a clip like this where they focus on a star, and the mount follows the star, and people look, proof the Earth is spinning. Look at this. Do you think this could ever happen? Because this would have to happen every day, all the time. Photos of Earth. This is on everyone's iPhone. When it first came out, photoshopped clouds. They're cut and paste the same clouds. All of you that have looked into this have seen that. But what about the space station? That little circle is what we're seeing there. Do you see a problem? Do you see a problem? This is just a high altitude shot with a fisheye lens. Here's the 2002 blue marble. If we drop that down onto a world map, the rest of this land is on the other side of that ball. The rest of this land is on the other side of that ball. Does that make any sense? Here it's something we can measure across Mexico and Baja, and we can say, all right, this is 934 miles. The diameter of the Earth is 7,917. I should be able to fit 8.5 of these across this globe, right? I can't even fit them on this screen, right? So that should tell you something. This was one that got me. Oh my God, global dimming, same clouds. 2078, 2017, same clouds, right? Which one's harder to paint? These are both paintings. Both paintings. This is a, they filmed this from the space station. The 400-mile wide hurricane. 400 miles wide. Well, let's put that on a ball. Let's post a picture of the globe in there. America is less than 400 miles wide, according to that. All right? Again, if you want to learn more about, here we go. More about that, the images section, just type in photos of Earth or Earth, and you'll see tons and tons and tons of memes. Eclipses, that's always a big one. I'm going to whiz through this. The Selenian eclipse, that's when the sun and the moon are both above the horizon without the Earth is supposed to go in between and cause a shadow, right? But the last one, the observer can see the sun and the moon above, and the shadow came in from the top. How does that work? You know what they call this? The scientists call this, because they don't like pronouncing Selenilian, because I can't pronounce it. They call it the impossible eclipse. But they don't explain it. They're like, well, it's impossible, but it has to work because the Earth is a globe. Okay? I'm going to whiz through this. Whenever you see a solar eclipse, you think it's the moon, but it's just missing sun. These are really low resolution on here. Missing sun, missing sun, missing sun. Something is blocking there. But if you want to learn about that, there's great videos in the eclipses section. If you come to my workshop on Thursday, 10 a.m., we can go over that more in detail. Day and night. This is, if the Earth was a globe with a single source light, only half, no matter how it's tilted or spun, would always be lit, always, and half would be in darkness. But that's not what we see. On July 8th, 99% of the Earth population, a lot of flat earthers get that wrong. It's 70% of the Earth is in light at the same time. So you can't have a single source light on a globe lighting up that much of the Earth. But this is how it translates to a globe. Right? This is a shot from NASA, and more than half of the globe is lit. That's impossible. Impossible. Right? Day and night. So we just have a flat Earth map, and we have a glass dome here, and I'm just moving a light. And it's interesting how it makes the same patterns where the light wraps around. See how the light wraps around? Day and night. Have tons of stuff. Southern flights are one of my favorite. This is the World Cup. They went from Doha to Rome to get fuel, and then to Buenos Aires. Why did they do that? Well, that's what it really looks like. They got fuel because they can't get fuel out here, right? So it's a straight line. Southern flights. Rio to Sydney stops in Los Angeles. That's weird on a globe. Makes a lot more sense on a flat Earth. Buenos Aires to New Delhi. Makes perfect sense on a flat Earth. Makes 0 sense on a globe. Sydney to Lima, Peru. Everybody wants to go there. Nobody wants to go to Los Angeles. Nobody wants to go to Los Angeles. And it's a straight line. Okay? Whizzing through. Durban to Sydney, stops in Dubai. Straight line again. And the last one is South Africa to Australia. Stops in Dubai, Hong Kong, or Malaysia. Look at it on a flat Earth map. Makes a lot more sense there. Right? And that's the map that they use in autopilots. And New Zealand to Argentina, that's the shortest way according to Google Earth. But this is the way that they go. They go all the way up to San Francisco, Houston, Texas, and Argentina. Does that make any sense? Look at it on a flat Earth map. That makes sense. Straight line. Then there's all these wind currents, 350 mile an hour tailwinds. So for these long trips, they're taking advantage of these tailwinds. But if you want to learn more, just type in Southern Flights. You can see all of these stuff and look at them in detail. Emergency landings. This is the flight from Hong Kong. It was going to the UK. It flew for 8 hours and it landed. It flew for 4 hours. 4 hours into the flight, a mom dies. Kids traveling with her. Husband, she's dead in her chair. They didn't land for 8 hours. What's going on? They didn't land for 8 hours because they were over Russia. And if they landed, two things would happen. Russia might have helped them, and that could have sparked world peace. Or somebody might have said, what the hell are you doing flying over Russia? And I would say, this is why. This is why. So they couldn't land, and they finally landed in Germany. At that point, those kids are ruined for life. They might have just gone the extra hour and landed in the UK. All sorts of emergency landings. They go 1,000 miles out of the way. They land in Moscow, but Moscow is really on their flight path. And the times that they get to these places are impossible on the globe, but nobody wants to pay attention. Emergency landings, 16 emergency landings proving flat Earth. You can find that on my website. It's a great coffee table book. Asteroids and meteors. So we all see this. They all come in at this angle. They all come in at this angle. So this is a shot that this is asteroids coming in, but this is a shot somebody got of them testing some weapons out in Arizona, right? And they're shooting these weapons really low to the ground while they're testing so nobody can see it, but somebody got this video, and if you compare it to what these things are, it looks exactly the same. So, I don't know how meteors that come in this way create perfect round craters like this, these craters, right? But if you compare these craters to geysers, meteor, I don't know, they look kind of the same to me. These are geysers, those are meteors, makes no sense. If we look at meteor showers, if we're seeing them come down in the north, they're seeing them go up in the south, or vice versa. No one's ever seen a meteor shoot up from the horizon. They all go down, right? What are meteors? I don't believe they're rocks falling from space. NASA doesn't prove the Earth is flat, but they're the ones that everyone believes the Earth is not as a globe because of them. The founder of Scientology, a cartoon producer, a Nazi, an occultist, and Aleister Crowley. Those are your board of directors, people. Okay? The heavens declare the glory of God. This is Wernher von Braun, the head of NASA, a Nazi scientist. That's his gravestone, and that's all he has written on it. What is that? Is that a deathbed confession? He wrote a book in 1957 called Project Mars about a group of people that went to Mars led by a guy named Elon. That's Elon's rocket. That's Wernher von Braun rocket in 1957. Are they pre-programming us? Are they casting a spell? I don't have time to show you this one, but this one will show you that all rockets are fake. This is that rocket landing. Now watch these people. Here it comes. So cool. Look at this thing. Look how close they are too. Ready? Oh my God. It looks like it's going to blow up. Watch the reaction. Nothing. Nothing. There's nothing. These people are not there. This is just a fake video. Nothing. No reaction whatsoever. Okay? This is NASA. They got some fresh fruit up there, and they're playing with it. Watch. Watch. Watch the hand. Okay? One more time. Okay? That's called augmented reality. They're lying to your kids, right? They're teaching it, this is a real ball. It's filled with helium. This up here, oh look, there's a stuffed animal up there now, and now she's playing with it. And they even made a little Star Trek beaming in sound. Okay? I'm getting there. If you don't see that they're using green screens and layering, this is on the space station, then I can't help you. This is not real. This isn't a studio. They're hanging from wires. They're doing all sorts of different things, right? And in 1999, gravity on, gravity off in 2023. What's going on? What's going on? Are you gonna? Oh, they got the harness. Showing me a harness. They use all different types of things. 4 million pounds is blowing around in the wind like a bouncy house filled with helium. Okay, what is going on there? Right? And then this is an important one. The thrust coming out of here, superheated. It's coming out at 20,000 miles an hour. Watch that fence. What happens when you have winds at like 200 miles an hour? You guys should know, the people that live here, right? Look at this place, right? 20,000 mile an hour superheated, nothing happens. Nothing. Nothing happens to anything, right? This is all nonsense. This is a light show. It's a helium balloon. There's no people on there ever. This thing can go Mach 3.2. Any faster, it rips apart. This thing can go Mach 33. It's got like square boxes and PVC and all sorts of stuff, right? How is that possible? This is a blimp, all right? If you want to learn that, and they all go right out into the horizon. Realize. And if you want to learn more, I got a special section, faking space, balloon rockets, and moon mission nonsense. That'll blow your mind, right? Where is your model? Where's your model? Where's your model? Here's our model. Watch this film. It's on the app. It's right here in the movies section, FE Movies, and then you'll see our map. It's the Antikythera mechanism. We're getting close. this is what they want you to think a cult leader looks like. But this is what a cult leader looks like. This man is a cult leader, and he has nothing, he will never address us properly.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
Here is official storyteller Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that you can't see the curvature of the Earth at over 280,000 feet.
Wait, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Do you know how high up above the Earth he was?
No.
So if you take a
63 miles.
Oh, yeah, say right. So take a schoolroom globe, and that's how high above it is he? So he's about 2 millimeters above the surface of a schoolroom globe. So nobody has seen the curvature of the Earth from that height. I just want to make that clear. Okay?
Think whatever you want. If you want to think the world is flat, go right ahead. But if you think the world is flat,
Why the lie? This is the most important part. What difference does it make? I have to go to work on Monday. I don't have to go to work on Monday. I'm staying in Mexico for 2 months, okay? All right? Why the lie? That's an important one. All the music industry, everything, home entertainment, video games, combination, $292 billion a year, space, $410 billion. It's not about the money, but that is one thing that is important. Divine law is the law of God. Common law is the law of the land. Statute law, admiral maritime law is the law of the sea or man's law. In order to convince a man to give up his divine rights and their common rights, you have to convince them that they are not divinely created in a divine world. Right? They have to dilute you. You want to dilute something, pour it into a bigger container like infinite space. Right? If you play on their game board, you consent to play by their rules. He who creates it owns it. Their game board, their fake money, they own you. Alright, what has Flat Earth done for anyone's well-being? Well, it's done a lot. We're more at peace, I can tell you that for sure. Greater sense of freedom and a closer connection to the Creator. I was an atheist before I discovered Flat Earth. Right? So, what happens? What did they do? What if there's more land? Now, you don't have to go, I can prove Flat Earth without speculating. This is speculating. What if there's more land out there? They can cut it out, they wrap it around a sphere, and they tell you this is where you live, and you're not allowed to explore this white area down here. They literally put us in a cage. It's a prison for your mind, and it's to stop you from thinking beyond. Your thoughts create your reality, and they've entrapped you in a globe of scarcity and fear and all sorts of nonsense. And so why does it matter? This is the most important topic on Earth because all of the other lies are based on the foundation of the helio-nonsensical satanic lie. And if you think Flat Earth is dying, this is my app. These are the people that are on the Friend Finder. Okay? They're everywhere. They're going everywhere. 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. 90 seconds. Right? And all across the world, more and more people are waking up. It's helping them. The app is on my website. It's super fun. Any of you that have Android phones that are here, come find me. I'll give you a free version of the app. And I'll set you up. And then, so again, this is my workshop. I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Come 10/10 on Thursday. And that is it.
If it's true, does it change how I live my life? This is something that is not an easy answer because of the magnitude of what we're talking about here. How it will change your life, first of all, when you understand it, is dramatic, to say the least. Will it change you from having to go to your job every day and the things that you typically do every day? No. But when this knowledge becomes more mainstream, and these agencies are starting to be held accountable, and you understand that they're all participating in this, not just the United States government, not just NASA, but China, Russia, India, all of them have space programs. They all have the same symbolism. They're all doing the exact same thing to their citizenry. And the first thing you have to understand about this is that the deception goes all the way to the top. And when I say all the way to the top, you have to kind of get rid of the notion that the people at the very highest levels are working together. Why would they do this? Why are they trying to hide the fact that we are on an infinite plane or on a flat earth rather than a ball? Well, if you isolate people into the idea that they're on a blue marble that's in the middle of a universe that is really insignificant, and there's thousands or millions and billions of other worlds and possibly other civilizations, that makes most people think that we are insignificant and that we did actually come about as some sort of an accident. Now, when people believe that, their minds are much more malleable into being given the idea that there is no God, there is no creator. And because of that, that also gives the controllers this fertile soil to build other deceptions on.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
It's about total control, mental, physical, spiritual, every way, shape, form possible.
You have to remember how big of a conspiracy this is. This isn't talking about just the JFK thing or isn't talking about just 9/11. It's on an umbrella kind of system to where it is the biggest deception that there is. It actually exposes every other deception, and nothing else brings down the power of the elite because it really exposes education, science, the economy, television, museums, universities. Think of all the things that have been fooled. I feel worse for the people that are out there building satellites, the people that are out there actually working for these space agencies, the people out there teaching in schools as professors, because they would all come to the conclusion eventually, once this gets out, that they've all been contributing to the lie.
Why do you believe what you believe? Prove it without using NASA or any other space agency, the government or military of any country in the world. Why would I say that? NASA has been proven to be liars time and time again. I could spend a whole weekend here showing you the lies of NASA. How many of you believe your government is 100% honest and can be trustworthy? And how many of you know the military answers to their government? Okay, so if those three sources are all proven liars, why would you trust them? Fool me once, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I say, continue to believe pathological liars and you're an idiot. But that's what we've all done. And so, I look at these stuff, we've all seen the textbooks, we've all seen the videos and movies and all these things, and there's so much of it. Do you know what the budget NASA has? You know how much they get? How much money they get? Have you seen the movie Gravity? Okay. That's made for about $100 million, give or take. And if you saw the movie Gravity, that was pretty impressive. I saw it on IMAX, big screen, like, wow. I mean, I felt like I was with Sandra Bullock flying around in space, freaking out myself. Okay, this is what they're able to do with $100 million. What are you able to do with tens of billions of dollars a year since the 60s?
Now, in my opinion, we're being lied to not only about the shape of the Earth, we're being lied to about the very nature of reality itself. In 1954, Admiral Richard Byrd, a highly decorated naval officer, conducted an interview where he alluded to the idea that there may very well be land beyond the poles.
Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
We don't know. That's the big problem. We don't know where we are. Okay? That's what we're all trying to figure out here. But there is the Antarctic Treaty where, 53 or so nations have signed saying that no one's going to lay claim to Antarctica and that there are massive restrictions for travel there. You can't just get up and go to Antarctica on your own. You have to have a tour guide with you. There are only certain entry points and there are limits on where you can go search.
Personally, I think the unconquered south face is the only one worth scaling. It's a 20,000-foot sheer wall of ice, but that's never stopped me before. Welcome.
No, I just want to stand on top of the wall and piss off the edge of the world.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Yeah, that's their favorite line. Got a lot of people, what difference does it make? You can't figure out what difference it makes? If you can't figure out what difference it makes that the people running your world are lying to you over and over your whole life, if you can't figure out that someone lying to you is trying to control you, suppressing of information, of knowledge, is control. Deception of information and knowledge is a form of control. So what difference does it make? It makes a big difference, because once they start omitting information or lying about information about where you live, they're doing it to control you. Period. Why am I having to explain this to critical thinkers in the truth movement? The way you control billions of people is to keep them divided and fighting each other. Flat Earth is not a PSYOP. Flat Earth destroys the PSYOP. Every PSYOP that's been used to control us for as long as they've known about it. So this system has been in power and control for hundreds of years, ever since they convinced the rest of the world that they didn't know where they live. It created this fantastical scenario to make people feel insignificant and to follow those that appear to know better. Why is the flat earth so important? Because it shows the deception. And if everybody would just come together and demand answers, they would be in checkmate. They would not know what to do.
Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I believe that's why we have so many who are indoctrinated to still believe and fight so hard for the heliocentric model. The reason being is because we've been taught the globe model since before we had the ability to think for ourselves. Think about that. Before you could think for yourself, before you could form rational thought, you've been taught that you live on a spinning ball, although your five senses tell you something totally different. Our senses tell us that the earth is flat and stationary, that the sun and moon and the stars rotate above us just as we see, that they make their annual cycles in such a way that we can calculate days, months, and years of the passage of time, just like in Scripture. The earth in itself works like a well-designed timepiece, and we all know that any timepiece that we can think of has a designer. What if the lie is to hide the existence of that designer? What if they're lying to us about this because they're hiding God?
Why lie about the shape of the earth? It just seems irrelevant. But imagine if you are a real forward-thinking psychopath and you want to create a new worldview for your subjects. Where do you start? What's the first big lie that you have to tell everyone so that you can totally control their worldview and become their authority? their authority figure, because you know things that they don't know, that they can't access about reality, that you've figured out and it's been established, and they just have to trust you now. Well, obviously, cosmology, the Earth, and everything beyond us, in the sky, above and below. So if you're going to fashion a worldview for your subjects beneath you, and the whole point is to lie to them so that you can gain control over them, the first, the biggest, the most fundamental, foundational lie you need to tell is this one. People have just been under the spell for so long that they can't even see, why would you lie about this thing, the shape of the Earth? It seems so irrelevant. It's not. It's incredibly relevant. If you're going to... So imagine if you took somebody captive since childhood, put them in a box, and all they knew was whatever you told them from their box. They'd never get outside, know anything about the outside world. You get to feed them all information about what's outside the box. Well, that's literally what is happening to us, like you said, with the Antarctic Treaty, with NASA telling us what is out in outer space above us. Oh, it's millions and billions and trillions of miles. Oh, okay. And so then we get in our imaginations like they are making us do, rather than be physical explorers like we can and should do, and then we'd actually find answers. But we don't have that kind of thinking because we've been given these pseudo answers and placated and thinking we know things that we don't know. And so that is what the controllers have doing, and why they're doing it is because this fundamentally makes you think you know things that you don't know. So then you grow this ego inside of you, and you start defending the people that lied to you, because they are the purveyors and explorers who found out all this knowledge that you just believe because you haven't actually figured it out for yourself. And when a flat earther comes around and is skeptical, you just think, how could you possibly be skeptical about something that has been so established? And you only think it's been established because so many people have believed it for so long. And there are many pseudo explanations that are offered over and over again that people have believed for so long. If you delve into it deeper than that, that's when you get to the meat of it. But most people are satisfied by that surface level stuff, and so you can't really break through to it, and they'll just give you questions like, but why would they lie about the shape of the Earth, as a defense mechanism more so than an actual question. They don't really want to know the answer. They're asking you the question because they think it's a way to shut you up, because it's such a ridiculous, whatever you say, however you answer that, it's going to be ridiculous to them. To control us for money, whatever you say, they'll scoff at it. And of course, that question is kind of like a setup too, because how could you know why someone else is lying? You're not the liar. Ask them. Why would you ask me? So the whole question, in essence, you're asking the wrong person anyway, and so you can't answer it to their satisfaction. It's kind of a trap.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I think that's how this place works. I think that our souls are eternal, we're angelic, and that we take time here to expand the mind of God and share it with others. The highest purpose of life is to seek ultimate knowledge and share it with others. It's that simple. This world is very, very, very simple. And they just conflate it and confuse it with law, fake law, and fake rules, and government thinks that they're in charge of us. Who the hell gave them permission to be in charge of us? They're not in charge of us. This world is not what you think it is. That's the opening of every John Thor video. If you guys follow John Thor, great channel on YouTube, John Thor. It's a great one. He does these compilations of videos, puts them together in a way like no one else does, and everyone starts a little song that says, "This world is not what you think it is." And then it goes into the video and it sets it to music, does a great job. Great job. These videos are like 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes long, and they're fantastic. I feature them all the time on the app. Just keep an eye on the app. Go on the app and type in John Thor. You'll find a lot of videos. Or just go to his channel on YouTube. Don't even need the app.
Maybe instead of being a worthless blob of goo that came from nothing and then developing into apes that were oohing and aahing and then eating bananas like a bunch of idiots, maybe instead of that, we actually are the center of the universe. Maybe we are special. In fact, maybe there is unbelievable evidence of creation. But the government has decided to hide that from you. Why? Why is there so much misinformation? Why is there a giant disinformation campaign going on right now when it comes to things like flat Earth? Why are people being hired by like Disney, Walt Disney, you know, the mainstream media giant, so that